All right, fire away. I'm ready.
So kind of just to kind of give you some background, I'm from Dayton, Ohio.
Mhm.
I love interviewing people. I love having conversations with people. I remember being like young, watching Oprah and being like, oh man, I just love how she can have a conversation with people and learn from the conversation, but have aha moments with the other person. And I've
Right.
always been that kind of person. So I'm excited to interview you, especially after I like did my research. I got some really good questions. So thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. Again, I'm happy to be here. I think what XOD is doing with their platform is amazing for everyone, but particularly for creatives and people that are looking to grow their businesses and people that are looking for a place to launch their content. Being a black-owned business, founded and started. I know Gerald Poe for years, so I'm particularly excited to be able to contribute to his vision while at the same time, growing mine. So thank you. Happy to be here.
So I'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
Um, so hey XOD, it's Tejal here, and I'm here with Jojo Brim. Now I could definitely go on and tell you everything, but Jojo, can you please let the audience know who you are and kind of give them a little history?
Sure. So, hey everyone, my name is Jojo Brim. I am the CEO of Mama Music and V Records. We are a music and tech company. We are part of a larger tech company called ADX Labs, based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My office is based in New York. I'm what I like to think of as a creative executive. I started as an artist years ago. I was a rapper from Mount Vernon, New York. And after I started rapping, I went and started to producing, and that's where I cut my teeth. I started making records at Uptown Records for Andre Harrell, and worked with pretty much every artist on that roster. And that's how I got discovered by Russell Simmons and Leo Cohen in the mid '90s. They were looking to build their R&B profile. They had some success with Montel Jordan, This Is How We Do It, but they wanted to get into, for lack of a better word, credible R&B. At that time, people thought This Is How We Do It was a one-hit wonder. So they wanted to make credible R&B, so they hired me and they gave me a shot. I was a kid, and from there I put out records on everyone from Case to Music Soul Child, Montel Jordan, Cisco, Drew Hill, Kelly Price, Ashanti. Did a bunch of soundtracks with them, and that's how I got my foot in the game. And then in the I don't know, early 2000s, went over to Atlantic with Kevin Lyles, one of my mentors, and Leo Cohen, and did the same thing there. Helped them to reposition Atlantic, helped them to get some stuff off the ground. I did 5 soundtracks with Tyler Perry, which was a great experience. Then in 2010, Kevin wanted to start a management company called KWL.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally Kevin and myself, and we had 2 unknown artists at the time. One was called Trey Songs, and the other one was called Estelle.
Mm-hmm.
And we did amazing things with Trey, and then I went on to bring Big Sean, Nelly. We had London on the Track. We had K Michelle for a minute, Elvana. So we built that business up, and then from there, I went and became general manager of LaFace Records. Shout out to LA Reid for giving me that amazing opportunity. And then I also did a stint where I helped David Massey relaunch Arista. That was about 2 years ago. And during that time is when I really fell in love heavy with music and tech and the combination. And I started to consult tech companies that were music focused. And I really thought that I could help them bridge the gap between what they wanted to do in tech and what I thought music companies and record companies needed. And that's how I came across this company, 88 Labs, that had an entertainment company called Mama Music. And I worked with them as a consultant for a year or so. And then there was a change in leadership. And the chairman called me and said, how would you like to be CEO? I think you would be amazing at it. And quite honestly, I never thought of myself. My dream was always to be a CEO in a regular music company, so to speak, right? The head of Def Jam one day, or the head of Republic Records, something like that. And even if I'm as I'm thinking about this as I say it, I even would have settled for head of urban music, right? But my dream and what the universe had for me was bigger than that. And I actually am now, an African American man who's CEO of a music tech company that isn't genre specific. So that's a blessing. So that's kind of my story. And in between all of that, I became a trained life coach. I've trained probably 40,000 hours worth. I work with a company called Momentum Education in New York. And we're really focused on helping people create breakthroughs in their lives. So when I'm not doing this, I'm working with people in that capacity and to volunteer my time to Robinson Lynn, who's the executive director. So that's my life. Besides my family and my wife and everybody.
I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time we were talking. I can finally take a breath. I feel like there's so much that you've accomplished thus far, and there's still more. Like when you talk, I can hear it. There's still more that you want to do. But I do want to start with the basics because there was a whole lot that I could take from that. But the first thing is, how did you get into music? How did that become a passion? Was that something that you had just growing up?
You know, I played baseball from the time I was about 8 years old throughout probably to my early 20s. And I played at a very high level, and that was my passion. It wasn't music at first. I discovered music um, as I discovered the the idea of the business of music um, really by looking to make friends. Believe it or not, I was living in Mount Vernon, um, and I liked I liked what I was seeing. This is like the '80s, right? So I'm looking at LL Cool J, Run DMC, and I'm like most kids, that's cool, someone that looks like me. But to actually take it and think that I could do something with it, that didn't happen until probably 16, when a guy named Dwight Myers, aka Heavy D, was in a shop class that I was in. He was older than me, and he was in a shop class, and I would hear rumblings that he was a rapper, and DJ Eddie F, who was his DJ and producer, was a kind of like a mentor of mine. And next thing you know, Heavy wasn't coming to class no more, and I was like, yo, what happened to this dude?
Mm-hmm.
And then I look up, and they like, yo, Hev is doing a video. And I'm like, Hev is doing a video, And so I saw myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought, well, if he's someone that I kind of know, maybe this is possible for me if I'm passionate about it and if it's a real love for me. So yeah, I wanted to make friends, and how that ties together is it was a social thing for me in the beginning. If I look back at it objectively, it was a social thing. I had moved to Mount Vernon from the Bronx. I wanted to fit in like most young kids. I saw a lot of people that was into music, and then from there, and experience we have, all of that is when it started to unlock a passion in me that I went for it.
So when you made that decision, there was no doubt after that, or as far as
Yes, it was doubt all the time,
yeah.
every single step of the way. And I'm leaving something out from people that know me would probably say, why did I do this? And I didn't do this intentionally. That whole experience that I shared was coupled with me becoming friends with Albie Shore. And Albie Shore was looking to get on as well.
Yeah.
And he had a head start because he was singing on some of Heavy D's records. And then carrying bags for Al and being around Al, that whole combination is what really exploded me into it. But it was doubt. It was doubt all the time.
Yeah.
Human beings, we doubt. That's what we do until we don't.
What's your advice on that? Like, you just push through it. What are some things?
That's all you can do. Listen, let me tell you something. Anyone that tells anyone don't have any doubt and be fearless, I don't know what planet they from, and I don't know what their genetic DNA makeup is, but whatever it is, I want some, because I have doubts every day till this day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid. I think in the face of fear, we get to be courageous.
Yeah.
Fear is going to exist. Me, myself, I don't believe in being fearless.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually okay to have the fear and do it anyway.
Mhm.
because then I get to experience myself as being courageous. So whenever fear comes up again, I can reach for courage.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more empowering than I'm fearless and, I have this S on my chest. I'm fearless. Nah, I don't subscribe to that. So I don't have no magic pill, y'all.
Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Have the doubts, and to your point, push through it and keep it pushing.
I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of people think the way to life is to not feel those things. Like feeling those things is a part of it, whether it's fear, pain,
Yeah.
anger. So I really understand that. One thing that you talked about is like in your story when you tell it, I hear a lot of people, I guess you could say, giving you opportunities or not giving them to you, but like believing in you. What makes you what do you think makes people believe in you, or what was in you for someone to feel like, okay, I'm gonna take a chance, I'm gonna invest, you know?
Um, well, what I've been told from people that have invested in me and shoulders that I have stood on was my willingness to contribute,
Mhm.
um, my humility, um, and humility not to be confused with like playing small and being meek and being quiet. I think there's great power in humility. So people that I have worked with have said it was that, and the fact that I am passionate when I speak, and not even just when I speak, when I'm engaged with something, and people feel my connection. Um, and I think those are the things that ultimately worked for me, right? And I like to make that distinction: is that worked for me. It might not work for someone else, right? Everyone's stretch, I believe, in life is different. Some people's stretch is to actually speak up, and to actually speak up and verbalize a little bit more when they have an opportunity. Whereas others, our stretch may be actually just to be quiet,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's that kind of knowing intuitively what would what I need to bring to any situation in that moment to create what I want to create. But specifically to your question, I think was humility, connection, and contribution are the three ways of being that I think really has supported me with people, in the eyes of people that have supported
Hmm.
me. Yeah.
And it's nice to see just everything that you've done so far, just in working with artists, like your thoughts about that. You've always talked about how you're less concerned with the fame and just more focused on the artist and their music and passion. And in an industry where relationships can be a revolving door, like what's one thing you, I guess, try to leave with everyone that you work with? Like, well, first of all, let's talk about how, like, what you think about artists and where do you get the idea to just help them be themselves? Like, why is that so important to you?
Um, I'm an artist still.
Yeah.
You cut me open. I could go in and produce anything. Um, I, I think human beings are um, inherently creative. And I think some people are creative with numbers. I think people are creative with clothes. Some people are creative with music. So I believe that human beings are, I think that creativity is what we're here to do.
Mhm.
So I think that's how I feel. I'm looking to speak to the creative in everyone, when appropriate. So that's the first thing. That's kind of like what I think of as my come from, right? I'm coming from a place of speaking to the creative in people. So that's first, and inspiring people to be themselves. I always tell people I'm always myself, right? There's no imposter. um, I think it's we've created these kind of conversations in society where people, oh, that's not me. No, it is you, right? It is you. And that's how I look at life. It's like, if I'm being not so nice, that's me, right? And I think what there's a freedom in understanding what works about ourselves and what doesn't. And I think more than helping artists look to be themselves, I look to support them in finding what works about them and what doesn't. And
Mhm.
when I feel like when we get clear about what works about us and what doesn't, then there's a freedom that opens up for us to be able to choose,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that reduces the conversation of, oh, that wasn't me. I don't know why I did that.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a disempowering way, in my opinion, to navigate life.
Mm-hmm.
Jojo, why'd you do that? I don't know. That's so corny to me. No, I was actually being, excuse my language, an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, right? And then there's a freedom in that and being able to choose something differently. And I think if any artist that I've worked with has gotten that from working with me, then I feel like I've done my job. I think the hit is a result.
Mm-hmm.
The hit record is a result. The tour is a result. That's a result of who we're being to have that happen. I actually think the results actually tend to take care of themselves. If we Because we can't control them anyway.
Yeah.
You let go of the ball, it's either going to go in the basket or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm not traveling with the ball into the rim. I feel the same way about records.
Yeah.
I think the results take care of themselves, and that's what I like to leave artists with, is that you're always you,
Mm-hmm.
and fall in love with you. And when you do that, then we can awaken into something beautiful within ourselves.
Yeah. That's real. So, what kind of role do you feel like the music industry should play with everything that's going on, the leadership role? I know that that's something that you care deeply about. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, and thank you for that. Man, I think leadership is. I'm gonna turn my notifications off here too. They're just going crazy. Um, I think that leadership right now is, in entertainment in particular, is necessary more than ever. Um, and leadership is a distinct, to me, leadership as a distinct way of being in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Not opposed to leadership, as opposed to leadership is the boss, right? I think there's a difference. I'm not Leadership right now in music is key because we're at a point where things are shifting so fast.
Mm-hmm.
This pandemic has opened up a different conversation. I know artists right now are wondering, will I ever get to tour again?
Yeah.
Some artists that aren't touring or doing shows are wondering, how am I going to make money if I'm not able to do these things? Some of us are managing teams remotely.
Yeah.
And for anyone that has built a team, we know how important camaraderie is, how important us to be physical and interact, with one another. And that's not there. So how do we lead in that time? And I think that that's key right now. One of the things that is important as a leader is to hold the vision. Hold the vision and keep bringing our teams back to the vision, right? That's one way of leadership, is holding that vision while people are like wondering if they're going to get paid, if that's the conversation that they're in, or whatever that is. Keep bringing them back to the vision, but also, like, especially right now, some compassion,
Mm-hmm.
and some empathy for the people that we're leading. So that's what I think about that, and I think it's it's in demand more than ever.
Compassion is in demand more than ever.
And empathy,
Yeah.
because they're different.
Yeah.
They're different. Empathy will have me really understanding your situation and really putting myself in your shoes. And and really taking it in. And compassion, I may or may not know your experience, but I have compassion just for you as a human being. And I think those two things are important now more than ever. And I think it's the music, for those of us who choose this, the music gives us an opportunity to offer something that can heal.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, it can be a healing tool for some people. And I think some of us who choose, if we so choose, our responsibility is right now to amplify the healing
Mm-hmm.
through the music. as much as possible.
Mhm. I definitely would have to agree about compassion and empathy. A lot of us are on different levels in what's going on right now. Some of us are really close to people who are affected by COVID-19. Some people are losing their jobs, some people are not. We're all on different levels. So it's just about respecting each other on their levels. I don't know if like you're on social media a lot, but when quarantine first started happening, there were all these memes about just stop, relax, think, be happy, be grateful, use this time to rest, use this time to read. And then it was like everybody's in a different space. Not everybody can read. People are still working from home or not working at all, trying to figure out where their next meal is going to come from. So just taking yourself out of your shoes, yes, maybe you can read, but think about other people and don't be judgmental if they're not doing that.
Yeah, and that's such a great point to bring up, because I've noticed that conversation as well, and I think we've created this kind of idea in society that everybody, like everybody, and I don't believe in that, because to your point, what's true for you may not be true for me. The way that I process this experience may be different from how you process it. It doesn't make my experience right
Yeah.
or wrong. And I think to your point, I would love to see more, which is why I'm doing stuff like this. I would love to see more and hear more about people that are just actually compassionate and empathetic to others. Like, some people are probably home right now, happy that they don't got to travel 5 days out the week, because they've been traveling for 5 years. And they're like happy to be with their family. Whereas some people are home right now and they're like, I don't know why I married you.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no universal experience, right? There's no universal, to your point. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think we're so quick to lump people into the everybody category. And to your point, I don't think that that's true. And I think now is the time for us. I always say, treat people how you want to be treated is a nice idea, but it's actually outdated. Because really, if I treat people how I want to be treated, then that's about me, right? And that means that, well, when I use my relationship for an example. I come from traveling. I might want to sit home and play MLB The Show on my Sony PlayStation and have a beer and da 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 da. My wife come home from traveling. She may want to have her foot rubbed, but if I treat her the way I want to be treated, then I'm gonna have a video game on when she comes home, and that's not gonna work for her. But if I treat her how she wants to be treated, requires me to actually lean in and listen and be present to her.
Yep.
Right. And so I say that to tie into what you're saying. It's the same thing. Like, let people have their experience. Like, let's not be so quick to come with, I'm getting all of these emails now. Now's the time. Everyone's online. You should be doing this and should be doing that. And probably, no, that may not be true for people. Probably, how about I'm really creative and I haven't been around people in 2 months and I'm losing my mind, right? Maybe that's true for some people. So I just think that, to your point, I think that people need to listen to things that you're saying around this, and like, just let people be free to have their experience.
Yeah. So we talked about leadership. Leadership was a big word that we use for the music industry. And I mean, for you to have great leadership, it takes empathy and compassion, along with a lot of other things. What I like where XOD Network is heading, because it's definitely one of its kind. It's definitely taking on a leadership role, and all of the content that it's producing, giving artists and creatives a platform to produce their own and get paid for it. What are some things you're looking forward to with like a partnership, or like what exactly are you doing with XOD Network? Let's talk about that.
Well, we are launching our VTV channel, and then we're launching our entire VTV network with them. So I'm excited to be able to bring we're bringing an independent artist focused video show for those of us that grew up with shows like in New York we had Video Music Box, and you had 106 in Park. So we're bringing a video show where people can actually go somewhere and like literally watch some videos.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
amazing. I'm so happy.
Yeah, me too. We're excited about that. And then we created a show called ITL, In the Loop. And ITL is kind of like the Breakfast Club meets TMZ without the intrusive part, right? So we're looking to like keep people literally in the loop of what's going on, but not in a messy way.
Mhm.
I think that's the distinct thing. And our host, Minnesota Fast and Chantel Sings, big personalities out of the Midwest. And of course, they're funny and they're going to talk about, what they say, the tea, right? They're going to
Oh
have some
my
tea.
goodness.
They're going to have some tea, but they're going to do it in a way that is respectful and in a way that's mindful. And we're looking to really bring some even to controversial things. We're looking to bring a little tongue in cheek. So those are two of the things that we're doing with XOD to start. And then I'm going to be doing a series of coaching um, shows and videos with my partner, Robinson Lynn from Momentum Education in New York, because the work of transformational coaching has impacted my family, my personal life, my work life. So I really want to bring the tools that I've used in my toolbox to the world, and hopefully they'll find some value in it. So those are some of the things we're doing off the bat in 2020 with XOD. And shout out to them, man! What an amazing platform. I don't know if people have ever built anything of this magnitude, but if you have, you understand what it takes to go into this. This is definitely an example of leadership. This platform where you have a man in Gerald Poe and his crew that saw something that they wanted to bring to a particular part of, not even just a particular part of the community, but of the world. How many no's they must have encountered, how many mess ups they must have encountered, how many things that he probably didn't even know that he needed to address, and went and addressed them. So something like this, you're right, is a lot of leadership distinctions that can be found in launching a platform. Listen, I know people that can't even figure out how to go to the store without making it a thing, right? Let alone launch a video platform and maintain it. So this is an amazing thing, and I'm looking forward to helping it grow and growing with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're someone that's definitely has a lot of like character. Like when I listen to you talk, it's about like peace and learning yourself, and like we talked about earlier, getting through the struggles, tackling fear and persevering. So I say all that to say, like, even with your life coaching and the way that you treat artists, those are things that you were going to do regardless. What made you say, hey, I want to start recording it, and then I want to put this content on the XOD platform?
What made me do that is that because it's bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I only I only can work with other people. I only know. I say this to my crew all the time. I only know your BS because I know my BS. I want people to see this because I'm just like everyone else. I'm a mess some days. Some days I don't want to choose leadership. Some days I don't want to be on my A game. So even the stuff that I've shared, I don't share any of that from a pulpit, so to speak, or from a soapbox. I'm a mess too. There's things about me that don't work. There's things about me that do work. And every day I look to reconcile them. And by sharing this with people, I actually get to work on that as well. So it's self-serving too,
Wow.
is that I get to be with people in a way that things come up for them that come up for me. And to me, that's important. I think there's enough space for everything. There's a lot of people right now that are just reporting about the tea. There's a lot of people right now that's just reporting their perspective, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with it. There's space for it. If there's something missing, I want to bring it. And I think what's missing is this particular conversation that, myself, Robertson Lynn, people like Sylvia High, Dr. Sunrise Smith, people of color as well, that, that want to talk about these things. So what better place than here to do it? And I think what people are going to find with what we do and what I do is that's very different than any sort of, I don't do motivational speaking. Motivation requires me to come in and put a battery in someone's back so that they could do their job. We tend to do more inspirational, because inspiration is different than motivation. Every now and then I need to be motivated, right? But my core is to be inspired, because that's way more empowering than having to be motivated. So we're looking to inspire people. I think the biggest gift that my team could give me is for me to not exist. That means I did my job. A great coach is invisible. A great coach, not a TV coach. And I don't want people to read into that. It's no shame. I think people are paving the way for this kind of work. But a real coach is not going to tell you what to do. Actually, a real coach is actually going to be with you with what comes up for you and coach into that, as opposed to, you need to go home and be nice to your wife. Like maybe you need to get a divorce. I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here. There's no blanket way to coach people. There's no blanket way to inspire people. And what we're looking to do with XOD is to elevate that part of the conversation into the consciousness of people, so that it begins to take root. And once it begins to take root, then we share it in our own way with each other. Then you don't need no self-help book if you don't want it.
There was a question that I had to ask that I just remembered.
Fire away.
So you talk about your experience in the music industry with so much pride. You mentioned it as an era where the way was kind of paved, essentially. Is there ever a time where you look at today's music or the industry and you're like, we paved the way for this? Or like, do you like where music is going?
I love it.
Okay.
Yo, when I was growing up, Grandmaster Flash had like tight pants on, and like his shirt was open, and they used to do things like and they look crazy. Leave Lil Uzi Vert alone.
Right.
If that man want to have 15 colors of hair, let him have 15 colors of hair. Like, my generation did this, by the way. People over 40 did this. Because we were the first generation of like real entrepreneurs that really had a lot of say in the music industry. And listen, God bless Sam Cooke and people like that came years before us that owned their masters or had their own labels. Definitely that. But our generation, the 90s, we did it to death.
Yeah. And
I think we got a kind of bit full of ourselves, right? So now we're sitting back and we're like, listen, I didn't want to be Freddie Jackson when I was growing up. I didn't want to be, but when I saw Aaron Hall and Teddy Riley, when I saw Aaron Hall and Teddy Riley, I was like, I want to be that. When I saw Keith Sweat, I said, I could be that. When I saw LL, I could be that. And I think our generation we're a little bit full of ourselves. We need to fall back, let these kids have their interpretation and expression of music. Now, are there some things missing? Of course. Kids aren't getting a lot of music in school. Technology sometimes makes it a little too easy to make a song, so you don't learn how to chord progress. There's certain things that you don't. So of course, there's definitely some of that. But rather than complain about it, like, I'm looking to like fix it, which is why we rocking with XOD. And one of the things we're going to do is do this real in-depth A&R class that we're going to do, so that when people really want to learn
on XOD,
we're doing it. I'm doing an XOD. I was saving that one, but you kind of led to it. So so people will learn. But I'm happy, man. Yo, I think some of these kids are doing some things that I'm like, yo, we didn't think about that. So Yeah, and listen, in every generation there's noise, but I want these kids to know that there are OGs in the game that really do respect them. And I think everyone over 40, chill out, yo. Chill out. We had Grandmaster Flash, we had the Humpty Hump, we had we had some songs that were real suspect and some artists that were real like as well. So I just think that we'll get over that and we'll be fine.
Speaking of your shows again, uh, you talked about how your shows are more, they're geared toward not, sharing the tea in such a messy way. But I know like a lot of entertainers or anybody who's like doing a show, they say in order to get viewers, you need the drama or you need messiness. Like, what do you say to that?
Yeah, it's a yeah, I don't believe in that conversation.
Okay.
I don't want to be all things to everybody. I want to actually talk to people that want to talk about the stuff I want to talk about. I think there are a lot of people out there. I think the people that haven't, I think some of the people that have tried to do, for lack of a better word, positive things, because it's not even really positive, but I think, it's been on a lot of it's very soapboxy,
Yeah.
very preachy. It's not as fun,
Mhm.
right? And we all want to have a below the bar moment, right? We all have a moment when we go, yo, did you see Homeboy's haircut? We all have those moments, right? Human beings judge. That's what we do. Um, but I think that with what we're doing and what we're creating is because we are, it goes back to something that I said. There's things about us that work, the things about us that don't work, and we bring them together. And that's what our content is going to be about and is about. We're not celebrating you because you're just positive, and we're not downgrading you. We're not playing you down because you're quote unquote negative. We really want to celebrate the totality of a human being. And you have great days and you have great days that aren't so great. And I think that's what's going to make us different. I don't look down on the housewives and the this and that. And I don't look down on it. I wouldn't do it. People have asked me to be on Love and Hip Hop. They've asked me to talk about my family and my exes and this and that. But I don't choose to do that. Not right or wrong. Don't make me any better than any other person that has chosen to do it. I just don't want to. I don't want to further that conversation. There's enough of that conversation out there. I want to be able to provide another perspective of the same situations.
Wow, I love that. I'm in a space where I'm learning how to understand that, like, just because I'm thinking a certain way or somebody else is thinking a certain way, it doesn't mean that my way is better or their way is better. Like, we just have a difference in opinions, and like, let's keep it at that. I like that.
Yeah, it's freeing too.
Oh my gosh, it is.
It's like so free, and it's like it's not heavy. Like people are so heavy with our opinions. Like listen, and not for nothing. Even with the president, the current president of the United States, as much as I disagree, I've made it a point to not participate in the name calling and this, because then I'm no better than him and his constituents, right? So even on the highest level, like if we can actually, because all we do when we do that is the other person on the other end digs their heels deeper in,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
now they're really not listening to you, because now they're really like, eh, eh, and if they do this enough times, you don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
All you see is the hand. So it's good that you're practicing that, especially in the domain that you're working in, because I think it will serve you to be open to different perspectives. A powerful person can allow two contrasting points of view to exist in their mind at the same time. That's what really, you want to talk about being woke, right? That's what being woke really is on a whole nother level. It's being able to, and then being able to choose powerfully into what it is that you want to bring to the planet and to humanity, right? That to me is like valuable. That to me is what your generation can do to press reset on all of this, is to like really get to the space where we're allowing perspectives to exist and then being able to choose from that space.
And that's why we need these peace ambassadors in the
Yes.
community.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you were talking about more so like nationally, or I know that's a kind of off topic.
It starts, you know what? It starts locally though.
Mm-hmm.
It starts in your bedroom. It starts with the people that we love. Some of us can't even be nice to our own cousin, right? It's like, so it starts there. And then, because listen, everyone is not cut out to be on the national stage of a conversation. Period. Like, I'm sorry for everyone that's like, oh, you think you can do it? I'm sorry. Let me bust your bubble as far as I see the world. Because everyone's not willing to be who they need to be to do it. It's impossible for me to fly a plane. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm unwilling to change the context of my life so that I could fly a plane. I'm unwilling to do it. I'm unwilling to do it. So for me, flying a plane is impossible. Can you see that? Like, so like all this stuff about, yo, anything is possible. Yeah, it's only possible if you're willing to change the context of your life. And if you're not willing, everyone should not be an artist, because being an artist requires a come from that some people aren't willing to do. And we should stop telling people that they can. Because some people, you're not willing to do it.
Yeah.
You know why Oprah's Oprah? Because she was willing to create her life in such a way that this could occur. Some of us want to be Oprah, and really we like, the most we could be is, you know, the meter maid. And some of us are the meter maid when we could really be Oprah, right? So it works both ways too. It works with some people are underplaying because they're unwilling to put their butt on the line, right? And then you have some people that are like overplaying. But yes, so to answer your question, yeah, that's how I look at it, and I think it's not right or wrong, but I think that it works.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited for your content that's coming on XOD Network. I'm really excited to just see what you're doing with the life coaching. I think that's the part that is most like closest to my heart. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience?
Yes. A couple of quick things. If you're into coaching, you know, please hit me up on XOD Network or hit me up on Instagram at Jojo Brim. Check out our company and our partners, Momentum Education, Sylvia High, Dr. Betty Spruill. These are all amazing coaches and trainers that I've worked under that have impacted me and creative people and people of Black and brown and people that are marginalized. So please check us out. And then the last thing I would say is, you know, let's support our own. And we can support our own and still, you know, have Netflix.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, really, if you're looking to get involved in some creative stuff, please check us out. Check out XOD. You know, check us out. I don't have any website info yet to leave with people. We're actually rebuilding our site. But I mean, for basic information on me, really just go to my Instagram or my Facebook page, and come and check us out. I'm looking forward to being a part of this, and looking forward to adding value and receiving value from everyone that's involved with XOD. And thank you. You were like so thorough. You did research. You know, I felt like it was a conversation of more than just the basic industry. You know, you should be hot, and what's 5 tips and tricks for you to make it in the industry. I hate those conversations. So this has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Brim. I appreciate it. Another thing I would say is just to add on, check out YouTube. I saw a lot of your videos and a lot of your interviews on YouTube, and they're very insightful. I got a few gems yesterday. I got a few gems today. I'm so grateful. So thank you again, Mr. Jojo Brim. We really appreciate you. The XOD Network appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. Shout out to everyone. Check us out. Look forward to hearing y'all, seeing y'all, and vibing out with everyone. So y'all be good.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye.